Fear is controlling the Negro, not the law, not money, not education. It is fear of the oppressor that keeps us in check.
And that goes back to that Willie Lynch syndrome.
Absolutely.
As long as every person who feels it within themselves to end up making a difference, they try to make that person an example for the entire community. But see, the thing is that the difference between a person who has that soldier mentality, they recognize that person may have given their lives, but that person is a martyr, forever remembered by the soldier.
They stratified oppression. What I mean by that, before integration, all four of us, you're a doctor, I'm a lawyer, she's a painter, he's an engineer, electrician. You make more money than three of us combined, but guess what? You live on the same block with us because you wasn't allowed to live nowhere else. You follow me? Right. Even though W.E.B. Du Bois was the first black with a PhD from Harvard, when he came to Philadelphia to work at UPenn, he had to live in the ghetto. There was no stratification of oppression. After Dr. King, they would stratify the oppression. Now you can go live out in Beverly Hills. You can go live out in Mount Airy. You follow me? You could go live in a gated community somewhere by the Schuylkill River. You follow what I'm saying? So now that you have the stratification of oppression, you got more to lose than me. He got more to lose than me. You got more to, you follow? So when you have black people who all suffer oppression, but who have different things to lose, now you start wondering whether you want to struggle with us, because after all, you got a Benz and we still on Scepter. And that's the problem we got, because we're no much. Because athletes and entertainers, if they were politically conscious and if they had the heart of a lion, they could revolutionize America overnight, because they have the ears of all the youth, which is one of the reasons why they killed him, Tupac Shakur. Because you got the top selling rapper, a child of the Panther Party, mother was a leader of the New York City Black Panther Party, and he is the #1 selling rapper. If he wanted to, he could start a revolution right now. That's how powerful Tupac was. So they said, we're going to knock him off and we're going to replace him with Negroes who didn't even think about black revolution. You follow what I'm saying? Right. In order to contain the masses, because here's the one thing we got going for us. Our youth are politically uneducated, but they are fearless. Yeah. If you take the fearless black youth in America's streets and you politicize them, you got an army. You see, we need to politicize them, because right now they're killing each other. They're dying for nothing. And that's what hurts. Not that they die, because youth die in war. But our youth are dying for nothing. I once read something that said it is a blessing to die for a purpose, because too many people are dying for nothing. We're losing our best men to the streets for the most frivolous of reasons. They're killing each other because they have not been taught who their real enemy is.
That was trying to start strategize on purpose. That was done with those that they called ambassadors of the party, i.e. you had the Black Panther Party, you had all of those other movements, and then once the 70s and the 80s came in, we started knocking each other off.
Yes.
You know, like, and it's like, I think I had this conversation up here with you before, something like this, when I was here, before we talk about, so you had the Black Panther Party, for example, Tupac mom, right? She a Black Panther, his auntie a Black Panther, they got them. They lock all of them up, kill all of them, put all of them on drugs. So then you got their kids come along, right? Their kids come along with no guidance. Now they was taught to fight. They was growing up their whole life taught to fight, but now they don't know who they fighting.
Right.
So now they fighting themselves. We fight each other. So then the 80s and the 90s come in, and then the crack era come in. So now we fight over money, because anybody had money before. So now we fight over money. We making $5,000 a day, hand over fist, off of each other. Then they go from that to now they got kids. But now ain't nobody making no money, so everybody go back to being poor again on a different level. But now all of their dads, uncles, and brothers is in jail. So then you got my generation, right? And your generation, late 80s, early 90s is born. So now we coming out, we getting out of jail, we're not going to jail, we getting out of jail, we getting educated. But we hard, but we soft though. Because we wasn't taught to fight for nothing. I don't care if you a street dude or not. You wasn't taught to fight for nothing. You a street dude because you had to, because the environment that you grew up in. But I mean being taught to fight for something like the Black Panthers, like the Civil Rights Movement. So now we're raising our kids, and I give an example, my son. My son probably gonna be soft for real, because you think about it, all my son gonna do is go to school. You know what I'm saying? He gonna go to school. I'm looking at it like he probably got nothing to fight for. We all know there's something to fight for, but in a sense, I mean, in the masses, in the movement, right. I try to teach him to be a strong black man, but at the same time, it's so easy not to teach your kids to be that at this day and age in America, because of what you just say. I can just get up and move to the suburbs if I feel like it. I can move to a gated community. I can send my son to a private school because I don't have to live in the ghetto. I don't have to send my son to a school where they don't have no books in there or no chairs or nobody's graduating. So my son ain't got to worry about all this other stuff. I don't have to teach him to say, look, you got to be better than them because everybody around you is doing well. So then what's the next generation? When you said that this generation is fearless, I think they're fearless, but I think they're soft though, Dad.
I follow what you're saying.
I think they're fearless, but I think they're soft because they quick to jump up and want to fight, but what are they fighting for though? They're not even fighting for the right stuff.
But that's our fault because we did not educate them and we did not guide them. One of the best things white supremacy did to destroy the black community. Now, let me be very clear. I do not support organized crime. I don't support crime. I don't support hustling and racketeering and drug dealing. I don't, right? But if it's going to happen, it needs to be organized. And once upon a time, crime in the black community was organized. When you had your Bumpy Johnsons, okay, you go to Detroit and Chicago, many of the large gangs, right? They were organized. All white crime is organized. The Irish are organized. The Italians are organized. When they started locking up the OGs of the gangs in the 70s and 80s, that took away the structure and discipline in the gangs and turned it over to the young bulls. And the young bulls been running it ever since. Have you noticed when the Italian mafia goes to war with each other, the different families, no kids get caught in the crossfire because they have rules for war. You do not kill old women or men, and you don't kill kids. That's a law. If you break that law, your family must kill you. You follow what I'm saying? We don't have no guidelines. It is absolutely ridiculous that all these black kids are getting caught in the crossfire of gang wars and hood wars. That doesn't happen in no other community but ours, and that's because all the OGs are locked up and the young bulls are running crazy. And I'm going to say this, even though people don't like when I say it, the only way we're going to get control of the black community again is for the adult men, you and I, to go to the streets and take control of these young men again. If we don't do it, the black community will never function as a civilized organization. Never. The young black man is out of control. He doesn't answer to nobody but the white male, and we have to change that. The average corner boy is walking around saying to himself, the only person I got to be scared of is the police. That's not good. He should be saying, I don't want to run into him. I don't want to run into him. I don't want to run into Dr. Umar. I don't want to run into the pastor. I don't want to run into no black males because they're going to check my ass if they catch me doing wrong. The only person they scared of is the police. And that's a reflection on us.
That was actually a question that was presented from our elder Malik Aziz. He had asked, so what will be the solution in regards to all these murders and killings going on by these young people?
You got to take them back. But I would also say this. When you take a young man off the corner, you have to be able to replace his income operation with something else. And our problem is we constantly tell them not to sell dope, don't steal cars, don't hustle the weed, don't go to jail. Okay, but I got a baby to feed. Yeah. Not only that, I got child support to pay. If I don't pay that child support, they locking me up. So I understand you, OG. I don't want to sell the dope, but what are you going to put in place of it? That's another weakness of our community. We're the only community in America that does not systematically employ its own. If a Mexican kid needs a job, he can go to the Mexican community. If a Jew needs a job, he can go to the Jewish community. An Italian kid in Philly need a job, they can run right down to South Philly. They gonna get a job somewhere. It might not be the job they want, but they gonna get one. When a black child needs a job, they got to go and beg white people. And then when they come back to the community, we want them to respect us. And their question to that is for what? Respect y'all for what? What are y'all doing for us? Right. The next generation that obligates us to respect y'all. We got to get our children's respect back.
Right.
Let's start with taking care of the kids. Go ahead.
That was it. I mean, that's a conversation that we had. Like,
but when you say taking care of the kids, it means taking care of all the kids, not just our own.
I mean, all the kids. That's my point. That starts with taking care of the all the kids. We got to take care of all our kids. Yes. How they gonna respect you if they never seen nobody like you? What I mean by that is, you walk in right now, it's 10 brothers on the corner. You walk up, yo, man, get up this corner. You know what I mean? What you mean? Yep. They don't know no old heads like you. Ain't nobody never told them. They old head told them to sell dope. You know what I mean? How you gonna tell them to say dope when they all had the same age you told them to sell dope?
Yes.
Like how their daddy wasn't around. Not because their daddy wasn't locked up, because their daddy just wasn't around. Yeah. He chose not to take care of them. Yeah. Their uncles wasn't around. They got a generation. So how do you expect them to listen to you? Of course you think they should. You would, because you have people ahead of you that raised you, but they don't have nobody like that.
They don't. They don't. And another issue is the drug addiction amongst the adults and the elders. Because one of the things that keeps the young bulls in place is the fact that their parents, maybe not their parents, but somebody else's parents is coming to them to cop that crack. They coming for that. You follow what I'm saying? So it's like, ain't nobody never taking me off this corner, because the same adults you saying need to put me in my place need me to fix their habit. I'm the drug boy. They not coming to check me because they need to get high, and I'm the one selling those rocks. So we also have to do something about the drug addiction in the black community, because it is getting out of control. And I'm not talking about addiction of youth, but addiction of adults.
Ooh, can I say this on the topic? Yes. Listen, the heroin epidemic in this country. We all know about the crack epidemic, right? When the crack epidemic came, you got caught with a nickel rock, they give you 20 years, right? Whether you were smoking it or selling it, right?
That's right.
Nowadays, you got the opiate epidemic that we all know came from pills, but anyway, got the opiate epidemic, which is heroin and fentanyl, right? They selling it, they selling it and they using it. They put them in rehab. You get out of rehab today, go back tomorrow. Yeah. Then on top of that, me and her could be using together. She could die. The law used to be, I killed you. I got to go to jail. Because I know when I was in high school, people I know sold dope. They were scared somebody was going to die. They was going to go to jail for life. Nowadays, you sell dope and I shoot dope with you and you die. Nowadays, all they do is say, just call 911 and you can go home free.
And the reason for that is because they painted the opioid crisis with a white young face. Yeah. You follow me? Yeah. When they think of opioid addiction, they think of the young 18 to 25-year-old white boy or girl. And as a result of that, they've created a whole new approach to drug use. As you're saying right now, the way they treat opioid addiction and the way they treated the crack epidemic is totally different. Crack epidemic, even if you're not a seller, we catch you with possession with intent to use, not sell, you're going to jail. But we can catch you with opioids that might do far more harm than you than